it is no longer yours. That property certificate holder, after 3 years, can own your property. I can't tell you the number of calls that I have had from people who did not pay their property tax for 3 years. I can give you an example of one couple, and I won't mention their names, but they were a real diligent young couple, bought their home for a little over $125,000, paid it off in 17 years. Neglected to pay the property tax note for 3 years. They had to rebuy that house for $125,000. You need to understand the importance and the necessity of paying your property taxes and not allowing it to go for 3 years. Because if that happens, like I said, the end result is going to be extremely painful. Shelley?
Ben, I want to ask a question since you're talking about property.
Yes, sir.
Why are we,
Let me mic.
what's happening with our appraisals? And I'm going to give you an example. When they built our development, people were paying from 120.
Shelley, I didn't get the first part of your question. You said something about appraisal.
Okay, I want to talk about appraisal of homes.
Okay.
When I first moved in our development, homes was going for $120,000 up to $160,000.
Okay.
A lot of our neighbors have done a lot of upgrades, done a lot of things to enhance their property value. Right now, the property is probably 40% less than what we actually paid for the homes. Why is our appraisals getting hit like that?
So let me explain the process.
So it's a
So,
little bit more ample by the county than you said.
so I don't know if you remember. I know you remember because you were in the deal. 4 or 5 years ago, well, this is the rule. Your property has to be at 100 to 92% of its value across the county. That's across the state. About 5 years ago, the state came in and arbitrarily lowered by 8% most of the properties in North Omaha, and there were some sections out in South Omaha that raised it. The county sued, we won, North Omaha's went back up. What happens is every year at between January and February, you should get a notice from the assessor. Tells you your home value. If you're not happy with it at that point, then you can go in and talk to them to work with them an adjustment. In March, they set that, and then the process starts with the BOE. They have to set those adjustments, and sometime in June or May, you get a note that says your property tax value. And then you have July to come in and protest that if you think your property is too low or you think your property is too high. Now, this is a scenario what I think probably happened. The county's assessment, the county has to stay at a certain level all the way around. So that assessment level is created off a 5-year average. Right now, the 5-year average, homes are selling high, out the roof. The county is going to, by a minimum, this year and next year, the property value in the county is going to go up at least 5%, because that's how high it is and that's what's falling in on the list. She's breaking this down by 12 areas, and if you think your area is not high enough, you got to go in and protest that. You can make that protest. I did it a couple of times. I said our property was at a certain level, and you can do that. So what I can tell you is, if you're making improvements, if you're doing all that, it shouldn't be there. They could have missed it. But some of that is on the homeowner if they missed it to go in and do it. But from everything I'm told stat-wise, the market is so hot that things should be up. Assessment. You're the first person I heard come through from the district saying that
Just
value went down.
one quick comment.
Okay.
My neighbor sold his home.
Okay.
And the buyer was willing to pay what he asked for. The banks denied it because they said that it was appraised too high. The banks would not even give them the mortgage for the home because they say basically the house wasn't worth it.
Now that's a whole nother problem that's out of my range. But if if that person, say all you all came in there at 100 and your home's about the same, if that person sold that house below that rate, that person probably recalibrated the whole market. Because whatever, like I said, every year, and notice, this is not, it's a science, but it's subjective in the way that you could put $100,000 worth of investment in your house. And if somebody comes and sells below that, that market's been recalibrated. And they're gonna look at that to some degree. So that was the situation that happened a couple of years ago. There were plots of land and people were coming in here and selling and buying and put land prices around here at a whole nother level. So when that issue happened about 5 years ago, put it back up to 8%, put people back up where they were at. But honestly, I thought from that point it was going to take 4, 5, 6 years for the value around here for some of that property to get back up. So my gut is it's in the process of going, and I won't know exact numbers until I see these numbers again in January and they lay out to us where it is. So your situation, I don't doubt that. The loan thing is a whole other thing with the banks. But if that guy and you sold that for a price lower, he changed the market a little bit around.
If your house value goes up, don't you pay more in taxes?
Well, it's two things. It's two things. You can have your value assessed by the assessor, and say the assessor sets your house at $100,000. Your appraisal, if you get a professional appraisal done, your professional appraisal can say your house is 130. If a professional appraiser says your house is 130 and you sell it for 130, you get over, because the assessed value by the assessor is what contributes to property taxes. So you come in a couple of ways. So there's people in there all the time that come in there and lobby for their property tax value to be lower until they get ready to sell it, and then they're saying jump me up.
Right.
So it's a game.
You want somebody to sell a house higher than the value in this case. But by doing that, you're paying more taxes.
But like I said, it's
Lower valuation.
no. But like I said, it's for instance, there are if you take the strip along 30, if you take the strip along here, I guarantee you the improvements. A lot of things goes into it. If you put personal improvements in your home, they go in and look at the permits and they watch all that, and then they start adjusting. But also, if your neighborhood is surrounded is improved. Around the 30th Street area, where 75 North and all that investment comes, when that investment comes by HUD down there at 30th, all those surrounding houses in the neighborhood are going to feel that just because the improvement in the area is better. There's people that come in there and lobby all the time to reduce their home prices because the sidewalk in front of their house is messed up. And they say that is a deteriorating piece to it. So, like I said, it's very subjective, and people who know that system play it very well.
So what safeguards are in place for homeowners? Because obviously some of these things we know, but not everybody knows and understands.
Yeah.
They don't understand that, by adding to your home different value, painting it, new windows, siding, those types of things, that's going to raise your property taxes. Some of that, like you said, is based on the permits that you pull. They assess all those permits. This type of safeguarding and education, how come this isn't more prevalent in North Omaha? Because obviously, we do have a community that is misinformed on a lot of things and undereducated in a lot of things. So why don't we have things in place to help people understand these different things, even with the developments, how that's going to change their property taxes, even though some of these developments are not going to bring in any more commerce or any more revenue into the community itself. It's now going to change these people's economic situation unbeknownst to me. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, let me tell you this. If I will, well, that question is, because I don't know if this is so much her question, because what you're talking about 4 years ago, and this is what it is, I will commit to having them every point of the year around that time. And this is what happened over the last 4 years, and it's happened 2 periods while I was in office. When I first got in office, we were so far behind, the state jumped, we had to jump prices up, and people were getting like massive injections of 5, 9, 10% increases on their property tax assessments. And I had about 4 sets of meetings to explain it to them, and then those got solved. The next year I had a set of meetings. So the first year I had the meetings, there was like 100 people in here. Next year I had the meetings, went down to 50. Started having the meetings the next year, it was like down to 10. And then the next year it was like 1. And the next year nobody showed up, took it off the radar a little bit. The year recently, when the decreases and increases went, I had a couple of meetings. There was some off meetings that were at Love Jazz, 100 people. Next year we had a joint with Reverend Cabot down at Claire, 50 people. And the next year, 1 person. So I will commit to having all you want to. The thing is, you speaking to me when they're there. So as long as you want, I'll be there. But the thing is, there has to be a Pearl Harbor. When they get slapped with 10% increases, everybody's jumping up. And then you have it and it dies down. So I will commit to it all you want to. What I've been doing is that when they ask about it at the empowerment meeting on Saturday, I'll lay it out there. But I'm all committed to having the separate meetings. As long as you all are there, I'll have it.
Well, and my thing is, education is the key to most everything.
No question about it. No question.
They're going to be hurt.
And if you remember, and Chris mentioned it about 4 years ago, there's an organization called the Turk Board, and it's a state board. And that state board got together, and when it was all said and done, they had suggested to the legislature that we raise the property values of everybody in the western and southern part of the state by 8%, and we reduce the appraisal value of properties in northeast Omaha by 8%. The reason I'm saying that, Sally, because you think it was low now. Had I not screamed about that, had I not fought with the Turk Board about that and got that level adjusted so that we're back even, your property value this time would have been even less than it is right now had we not done that. So,
We had a system 100% talk about the education required for.
yes, go ahead.
So, as you said, education is imperative. And right here at Family Housing Advisory Services, we do pre-purchase education for people who are looking to become homeowners. But we also do post-purchase education for after the fact, covering all of those types of issues. And it's very sad. We actually dealt with seniors that were losing their homes to foreclosure because of property taxes. At one time, we were able to get some funds because we were able to document that was happening, and we were able to help a few seniors save their homes, but there's just no funds now that are available, so it ends up being that way. We're working on a meeting with the assessor and all that, just trying to look at how we can combat some of the problems that we are seeing with people who are not able to have the money that they need when tax time comes. And I had noted that in Houston they had a over 65 exemption, and it was separate from the homestead exemption that allowed people to be able to, I called to make sure. But it dealt with, because they didn't have to be in by January 1st, as we have to be, for the homestead exemption. So, but there's information that's available. So if you have people that are interested in becoming homeowners, please send them here, it's free. And if you have people that are in housing and they just need to know what they need to do, and after they purchase, we're here too. We do foreclosure prevention as well. So if you have anybody in housing or whatever information related to it, we're here to help.
And that's all free services.
It is.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresa. I appreciate that. Sorry, I should have recognized you ahead of time. Mr. Todd, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I came to this meeting, it's on the wrong pictures, but I thought it was gonna be, you guys gonna sit over there, and it was gonna be a direct question to tell you about problems. And I'm not really doing that. So, since I got the phone, just let me say this. All the problems we're talking about right now is because we don't have a political organization that can handle it. It's a few of us in a room talking when we need to get about building an organization here that represents all of us. And that was basically what I was thinking about. And really, I hate to put you on the spot, but brother, you're gonna have to step back out here. Brother, you're gonna have to step back out. Brother Vernon, you're gonna have to step back out here. Because all these problems that we're having is because we don't have an organization, a political organization that can handle the problem. We're going through little bitty things, and we ain't even all talk about these things. But where's our political organization? Where is it? Listen, I keep going to these meetings, and then again, excuse me, and I'm just going to say this. I got white friends that own farms. I went to a meeting about 6 months ago. It was over 2,000 people there. And they was talking about, they were suing the state for something about seeds. I went to another meeting. They had machines I had never seen before. I counted 4 black folks out here. We ain't even in the process. Next thing I know, this city and this state is ran by the Tea Party. If we don't get together, then we're going to keep on hearing these things. When that sister put that diagram with his house up there, we talked about those things back in the day. Not only we had a program for it, but we knew exactly what we needed to do. The biggest thing is now, we hear a lot, and I'm not Chris, nothing else. Chris, what I'm telling you simply is, when he talked about Ajamal has a big program where he can't spend the money in the community. That's the real issue. And what they're trying to do is turn again, put Ajamal in a position where he will never be spending money. So, that's where I've been, like you see that building sitting across the street over there. That's the Blue Lions Center they turned into all right now. But the community built that. When you see all this technology stuff over here, we built it. I'm one of the original board members from Metro Community College. We built that because we had a voice. Now we don't have it. So in other words, they come in and do what they want. And so basically that's what I came to. In other words, really, until you step up wherever you come willing to go. I mean, I'm willing to debate each other until I went down to the prison. And I saw how Willie was respected and loved in the prison. I have a nephew who did 10. He came out. He went to Metro Community College. He had a 3-point. I know the time's gonna get now. We got to go. In other words, everybody gonna start checking their files and the rest of that. Because in other words,
Carl, let me back up for a minute. Let me stop you. Okay. If y'all ready to go, y'all ready to go. Okay, y'all ready to go. I wanted to get to your question too about the housing. Because you mentioned the thing about, Linda mentioned about affordable housing and that being one of the major drivers that affected homelessness and those sorts of things. I've had some conversations. For the most part, one of the things we've attempted to do to address that is with the establishment of the land bank. For people to buy houses at a reasonable price with the ability to renovate them and fix them up. Teresa and I are on the land bank board together, and this is one of the things that we've been doing quite well in the recent past, is that we've gotten houses and lots into the areas where people who can invest small amounts of money with renovation can build those properties back up. So we've had a lot of luck with that, but that's minuscule compared to where we need to go. I have had conversations with individuals, and I'm going to look at, there's a project in Lincoln, and then there's another one, I think is in Minneapolis, that are talking about small houses. So I'm going to be looking at those, and I'll bring some renderings back so that when we have another town hall, and I'm going to expand the town hall meetings that I have, and that hopefully that Chris and I can do together as well. But that's one of the things. Most of the affordable housing is being done by Holy Name Housing, Habitat for Humanity, Mercy Housing, and Omaha Economic Development Corporation. So because private developers have a hard time making the numbers work to build affordable housing as opposed to market rate housing. And that's just capitalism.
I guess I was thinking, wouldn't it be a good investment for the city to select a block or two and remodel, refurbish the homes where those vacant lots is, and have a set of homes that our homeless community members can go to for a set period of time, instead of going to a shelter? Because when I look at the shelter image of it, it looks like a prison to me. It doesn't look that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, transitional. I see what you're saying. Yeah, and I don't know that that's not a possibility either. This is in the very early stages, because the other thing that we're talking about is you see those shipping containers that are down. There are models being developed for shipping container type homes too that look really, really nice. I'm told. I haven't seen them yet, but I'm going to visit some of them. Have you seen them? Okay. But I'm going to visit some of those and see what they look like, because those are some of the things that we're talking about, because affordable housing is a critical issue, not only for homeless, but for people who are on low and moderate incomes, people in poverty. These kinds of things can help them get on their feet and start to have some pride and ownership. So we're going to start looking at those. Luis, you had a question?
Yes. Well, I'm sorry about earlier.
No problem.
My thinking was that if the state isn't preventing funding for mental health, why not do it? Because mental health touches on a lot of things: violence, poverty, homelessness, and so that's where I was coming from. If the state isn't stepping up, can the local government step up? So that's my first question. Second question is I got another question, but if you want to answer that.
You're right, and that, quite frankly, is what that whole juvenile justice conversation is about. So there's work being done now with some private funders to try to build a 18 to 20 bed facility here to be able to address the juvenile mental health piece. The adult mental health piece, that is a big discussion that's happening around. There's conversation about that, but just know there's a certain amount there's only a certain amount of locals can do to get into that, because the state has a big role in that. So that conversation is happening, but the big thing here is that it's two problems. Some would say it's the investment money-wise in it, but the second one is, right now, you can put all the money you want to in it. You don't have enough licensed mental health practitioners to staff if we did have things available. So you need the piece, but we need to feed the education piece on that end to train more people and bring them in. So that's the two-end piece on that. So, but before I flip the script on this, I just want to call me a comment that I just want to correct, because he made a comment that implied that we got a DMC rare coordinator, they can't spend money. That's not the issue. We have a federal grant that the state had that the county picked up. We got 3 years of funding that's already committed for it being spent, and we're in the process of negotiating with the Fed for a grant for the other 3 years. And what may have been heard is not being able to spend is the Fed has approved what we are proposing to spend on it, so we can't do anything with that money until the Fed says yes. That's about the closest thing I can get on that, and I'll get an answer if you want out.
My second question was that $114 million got approved for the Justice the Justice Project for the county. Can you honestly say, Chris and Greg, that that is a joint project between the county and the city? The Public Building Commission is funding that. It's Omaha Douglas Public Building Commission. But can you honestly tell us that's a joint project, even though during the public hearing, Councilmember Rich Pauls asked the department heads, the law department, the planning department, finance department heads, if they had any discussions concerning that project, that funding, and all three said no.
Yes, you can say, because the term. Just to bring everybody up to speed, there is a mechanism being set on this board. There's a commission called the Public Building Commission. Only 2 counties in the state of Nebraska has it. Lincoln, Lancaster County, and Omaha and Douglas. And it's used specifically to build city and county buildings. You can say that it's joint because the term in the law is joint use. And with that facility, the 90% of the kids that go through the detention center are City of Omaha kids. They use that facility, and we have an agreement with them that pays for it. So the term joint use makes that fit within the law, and it is absolutely that. That's just the first example that I give you, but that's the core. The city uses that to house their youth that they have there in detention, so that's what makes it joint use.
But we're all citizens of the county and Omaha when we're here. It shouldn't be decided how it's being constructed by the 2 entities?
It has, but this is what I'm guessing is the core of your question, because this is what comes up all the time. People out here saying that the reason we did that is it's a mechanism of funding. And that mechanism was put in place to fund projects like this. It's been in place for 50 years. There's people out here screaming that, it's illegal because it wasn't done by a vote of the people. And they use a couple examples. They use OPS as an example where OPS went to a vote of the people. Well, one, OPS did $2.5 billion bonds. There's no way that they have that on their levy to be able to do that without going to the people. 2, there's no rule that says you have to go to the people. The Capitol in Lincoln has been doing a renovation project for the last 3 years, and they didn't go to a vote of the people of Nebraska.
I don't have a problem with that.
So that's what I'm saying, that it was done that way because it's a joint building commission project to build the courthouse. The courthouse is the responsibility of the county. The county and the city use it. So that's what puts it under the joint use piece.
I just want to relax.
I can.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Huh?
I said, yeah.
I don't know what that means. What I stood up to say is that we're going to go till about 8 o'clock when y'all just kind of plan me down, which means there was no panic. So anyway, I just wanted you to know the kind of plan. If you want to get a question in or whatever, we'll be here about another half hour.
So, no, I need to text my wife and say she needs to pick my kid up before I can
Greg, one of the main reasons why Senator Chambers put the districting in is because all districts aren't the same. In our situation, there's some very unique problems.
Let me go to the first part.
One of the reasons why Senator Chambers put the districting in, so we have districts, is because all districts aren't the same. We have some very unique problems. The least of our problems today is land, because less than 15% of us own land now. All that stuff you're talking about has already been done. Our problems is the way that we are being treated across the board. We don't have enough time and space to have both of you coming in and dealing with the things that we need to get done. The legal system ain't got a thing to do with what we need to get done. What we need to get done is get this racism and this other mess that they're training on us and our own difficulties because the masses of us can't function anyway at this point in time. That's why we have to have these kinds of meetings and have them once every 6 months or have them whatever, just dealing with the data is not going to get it anymore. This mess has got to stop. And it's racism, and both of y'all know it. Because I know you know it. You deal with them folks every day. Then I know you know it. You deal with it every day. And we can't play these political games with them. Okay? When you have to come on the air and tell people, if they tell you they don't even let you know about meetings that they're having, like your district, what are we supposed to think about that? If they're doing that to you. We can't have a calm kind of meeting. We got severe, life-threatening situations. They're taking our girls out of the house and giving them adult time. This is worse than the number of mentally ill. How can you stand up and say that 2/3 of the county correctional center is mentally ill and they still in there? We can't treat this thing like it's passing like the rest of these things.
I hear you. Okay. Here's the issue. You can talk about racism and all this, and we can sit down and deal with it, and we can talk about racism until we turn blue in the face. We've been doing it for the last 2,200 years. We've been doing the same thing. So to sit and tell me that we're not making progress and that things are not happening is just absolutely not true.
The data
I can
shows
tell you, no, it's
the
not
data
true.
shows it.
It's not true.
Does the
And
data
that's
show
what I'm
it?
gonna- I'm not gonna
Really,
show
does
you
the data
like
show
that.
it?
Go ahead.
Really, does
I'm
the
gonna
data
let
show it?
you finish, and then you let me finish. Finish.
The data shows it. He's been taking the data for the last 14 years. All the data shows it across the board. Every area that we're talking about. We've had mental health problems since slavery day.
What do we do about it? Tell us what we do. You must have a plan. Tell us what we do.
Stop trying to take our kids and give them mental health treatment. They ain't the ones that are crazy. They're the ones that got to survive. It's their parents that are crazy.
Okay. All right, that's a little bit for me to bite off.
Well, hey.
All right, well, that's strange. Go ahead, Jeff Rankin.
I'm here for a reason.
Yes, ma'am.
And thanks to this young man here who told me about me, and I want to apologize to you because so many times we hear people talking, two people talking, three talking, and what the first thing they say, call Ben Gray. Ben Gray knows I saw all this stuff around. Just call him. Ernie Chambers, call him. Elijah is always talking. And but I'm talking about services for us in the community. And I called you and I wrote you. My problem was, I'm a single mother, single woman, living alone. And I had a landlord that was coming to my house, taking the key and walking into my house. And this is just recently. I'm in the kitchen cooking, washing dishes. I look around and he's standing in my dining room. And I said, why are you here? What are you doing in my home? And you know what he said to me? Take me to court.
No, please.
That's what he said. Okay, I'll get to that.
Call the police.
I called the police. And just this here a couple of weeks ago, he came into my house. I called my son. I'm a bus driver. I was on the bus. I have security, and I'm on security ring. And a constable called me and said the state somebody's intruders at jobs. So I knew it was him. So I have a Ring doorbell. I was here at Family Services. I'm filling out an application for the Omaha 100, and I looked on my phone, and there he was, standing on my porch. And I asked, I just looked at him. I didn't answer. I went to see what he was going to do. And he did. He put his phone back in his pocket, got his key, and went in my house.
Do you have a camera?
I had a camera. I had it.
Do you have that on tape?
Yes, sir.
Send that to the police.
And
Send that to the Send it to me. Send it to me.
I called the police.
Send it to me.
The police came. You know what they told me?
Send it to me.
But I'm trying to tell you, I'm going to the services that he's talking about. When I called, you know what they told me?
What's that?
Well, we can't get him for trespassing because that's his house and he can do whatever he wants to. That's what they told me. That's what they told me. I'm here because I'm telling you about the service.
Send that to me.
Okay.
Send those pictures to me.
Now look, I called Family Services, Family Housing. They told me to call, Legal Aid. Thank you. I called legal aid. I talked to a paralegal, and she went to the lawyer for me. I never talked to him. He sent word back to me saying, just leave. If he came in your house, I'm upstairs. I hear my garage go up. I run downstairs because I'm thinking Jerry's in the house. Jerry, you here? He didn't answer. I run downstairs there, his truck is in the driveway. He done backed up, come in the house, open my garage, and he's in the house. And I asked him, I said, why on earth did you do this? I thought you was upstairs asleep, so that's when I come on in the house. That's what he said.
All that's illegal. All of it is illegal.
But they
and I wanted tonight to get to landlord-tenant rights, because all of what you just said is illegal. All of it.
Killing us in the street is illegal.
No.
No, you need to send me those pictures.
Copies.
No, you got, and that, all of that was illegal. That was all illegal. Can you send that to me? Please send that to me. And then I'll have a conversation with the police department myself. All right? I'll have that conversation. I did want to get to, yes, sir.
Hey, Chris, can I just ask you a quick question? I talked to Mike Myers. You and I talked about the overcrowding a couple months ago, and I had a chance to talk to Mike Myers quite a bit, and I was pretty impressed. He seems to be doing some good work for you guys. And he's a mental health therapist, which kind of gives him an interesting perspective. But he said that his wish list was to take a block right next to the prison and build a mental health facility that has inpatient, outpatient, and restricted housing that he could use to transition people through mental health and get them out of jail. And so, can you make that happen, please?
Okay, so I guess you can tell you my philosophy on that. One, we have been working to create a unit inside. And ideally, yeah, that would probably be ideal, but, you know, my philosophy on that with them is that they've asked a couple of times to add or to build onto that jail, and my feedback to them is like, no, I'm not building 1 inch onto that jail, because we got 900 or so people in there on pretrial that do not need to be in there. Building onto that jail will give them an excuse to fill that jail up. And it's not that it's not there. I mean, the board resisted for a while in respects to creating a unit inside, because we thought if we did that, that takes the pressure off the state to get the services there. But I'm all in, and we're trying to find a way to get the services outside, but adding on to that jail.
I think you're talking about a separate hospital.
Yeah, but the thing is too, that's not our realm, that's the state's realm. So what I think I'm definitely in favor of is trying to find the services outside, but the county getting into, we already have a mental health facility on at the Douglas County Health Center over off on 42nd Ward. So what I am in favor of is putting more money into the community-based stuff and trying to get those guys some services there. And I think we're trying to work through that. And that presentation that I mentioned that we're going to have on the first Tuesday in November is a little bit of that. But, you know, believe me, that's been asked a couple of times, and even though I want to vote, but I will not support adding on to that jail. That's a recipe for more people being locked up, and that is wasting money on a bill that can be put on some program. So that's just my personal feeling.
I moved back here about a year and a half ago, and this is actually the first town hall meeting that I've been to. I've been to a lot of other community meetings, and I have to say this because sometimes things just have to be said. There's a pink elephant in this room. I feel a lot of tension. I feel a lot of anger. I feel a lot of frightenness and fear. And I'm not trying to exclude anybody, okay? But right now, I need to talk to black bodies. This is not an exclusion of anybody. North Omaha is a predominantly black area, okay? This is our representative, this is our representative. We as a group of people are so divided and so divisive and so hurtful toward one another. And you feel all of that in this room, and I know I'm not the only person that feels it, but even if I'm the only person that says it, it needs to be said. We can't come to meetings like this and have feelings with each other that don't allow us to actually accomplish anything. Nothing. And this is just my own sole opinion, and it really doesn't matter because I'm not anybody important, but I am a member of this community. Nothing has been accomplished tonight. There are no takeaways that are going to change anything from tonight, except some people that were mad, some people are still mad at them. Some people that were scared, and some people are still scared of them. And that doesn't change. Y'all, we can't keep doing this. We can't keep doing this to each other. We're going to die this slow, horrible death in this city that all of us love because we still here. Some have come back here. But this is where I grew up. This is where I'm from. And I cannot stand to see my people doing each other like this. This has got to stop.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Any other questions? Yes, President.
I just kind of wanted to react to your comments. I surely appreciate it. I met you earlier. I want to disagree, not with your facts, not with your left, but what your conclusion is for this reason. These town hall meetings are not, they can maybe produce action, but what happens is we're all walking up and down the street, not talking and all of that. But there's so many things that come into my office and many others that people don't understand how they work. They don't understand where to go. And so really one of the reasons for the town hall meetings is for people just to understand maybe about how the tax thing works. And it's not, you know, like I agree with you about the tension and all of that, but I think we're maybe asking too much of a town hall meeting. So I just wanted to react, because I know a good reason why we set up the town hall meeting is to inform about something people are not up on. And so,
that's part of it, brother. But the other part of the town hall meeting is so that the town can actually be heard.
I agree with that. I just want to give that perspective.
Please don't take this as disrespect, because I definitely do not try to disrespect.
Oh, I didn't take it. I don't think anybody took it. We just see what we're doing. We're just dialogue, and that's okay. I'm learning from you, and you're learning from me, and that's part of it.
There are people that I feel in this audience that want to ask questions, that want to say things, but they're afraid.
Yeah. But you know what? I want to say this also. I think Elijah made the point, but in the last 6 months, I'm in town hall. So we're having he's having a lot of town hall meetings, much more than other councilmen and all of that, while we beat each other up. We have a lot of town hall meetings. He does his, I help him with it. We do another kind of town hall down at Henry's Cafe. We're doing all kinds of stuff, trying to just do the best we can because if I see you at every meeting, it's gonna turn out, we're gonna get to know each other a little better, and maybe we start coming up with some solutions and things like that. So, Louis wants to comment on it, I'll get right to it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Preston, that there's a lot of positive things happening in North Omaha, specifically on North 24th Street. I encourage everyone in this room, a lot of people are connected and involved, get involved and understand the real issues, the action points that are being taken. We're actually at a point in this community where we're not going to die. We're far from it, but as a matter of fact, and we are moving in a lot of very positive directions. But if I can encourage, if you're not involved, find a place to plug in, get the right information. That is also what a town hall does.
Yes.
Town hall helps to correct the rumor mill. We've got a lot of side conversations that happen in barber shops, living room, Facebook chat groups, and oftentimes they help to perpetuate what's not really happening, rumors, half-truths, what we don't like about leaders that are sticking their neck out to do what we can do. And it's going to take all of us exponentially to make the visions that are emerging happen. And so we're sitting in this place because of your vision. So to say that, and because of your vision, so to say that nothing's happening, I would just say it's a misnomer. And to say that we're dying a slow death, I think that as you get more collaborated with the community, you're going to find out that we're moving forward, sir. Find those places that meet your passion and get connected. Get your churches, your lodges, get connected, because we're going to need everybody's support to continue moving forward.
Let me, because I appreciate what you said. I appreciate everything that you said. Whether I agree or disagree with some of it, I appreciate the fact that you brought it up. Luis, I'm going to give you the last question, and then Chris and I make some closing comments. But I appreciate what you said, and I thank you for saying it. Luis?
I understand there's some tension, but this is free-flowing, and it allows for different issues to be spoken about, like in a public body meeting. It's very focused on the agenda items. So I appreciate that you guys can both be in those public bodies and then deal with a free-flowing conversation. So I just want to make that comment because I get frustrated with you guys too, but if I was happy, I wouldn't be involved.
I suspect that makes sense. You're probably right. Do you want to say anything?
No, I want to thank you all for taking the time to come out. I'll be here to answer any questions you have after this episode.
Thank you. Let me say a couple of things in closing. You know, first of all, I want to thank Yolanda and Willie Barney for providing the space. But more important than that, I respect Mr. and Mrs. Barney because they're trying to make investment in this community. They're trying to turn things around in this community. They're trying to collaborate with the union and everybody else in this community. So, you know, hats off to you guys. I appreciate your time. Secondly, I want to thank all of you all for being here this evening. Linda, especially, thank you for coming to give us some information about Sienna Francis House and correcting some things that may have been misspoken at an earlier meeting. So I want to thank you for that. Thank you, all of you, for being here today. Let me say a couple of things. One is, there has been tension here, and there's going to be tension. And the reason there's going to be tension is because we all hurt. We hurt as a people. We've been hurting for a long time, longer than you and I have been on this earth. So the tension is there partially by design. When you read the Willie Lynch letters and other things have created an environment for black people to be against each other, I would encourage you to read the Willie Lynch letters and Chains and Images of Psychological Slavery. Those will tell you some of the reasons why this pain exists. I don't do these town hall meetings because they're fun and because there's no tension. If I were going to be afraid of tension, if I were going to be afraid of disagreement, I would not be in this room. I would not be holding these meetings. Y'all would only see me around election time. But the fact of the matter is we have to find a way to continue to, in spite of our pain, and in spite of some differences we have and about how we get at something. Elijah and I, you saw us vehemently disagree about something. I invite him all the time and going to keep inviting him. Because I want the story out there in its entirety, and Elijah does that. And I appreciate you, my brother, for doing it. So don't think that while there is tension and while there are issues and while we disagree in some instances and are disagreeable with each other, as Lavanya said, if we don't continue to find ways to keep moving forward and working together and eliminating the barriers. And sometimes when we don't agree, you have to get with a group that you agree with and y'all do the thing and let the other people do their thing. But at the end of the day, we have so many problems that other communities do not have. And the pain that we continue to express to each other is a reflection of that pain that we have been unable to get rid of any other way, because we as a community and as a nation have never addressed the issues of racism the way we need to. Now, we want to blame it and say to a certain extent that this new administration, Donald Trump and all of that, but one of the most racist things I had ever seen in my adult life was when we elected a black president and a white group of individual elected officials created a group called the Tea Party and said that no matter what this man puts forward, we're going to be against. If that's not racism, tell me what is. That was one of the most racist things I had ever seen in my adult life, and nobody said a word. I'm reminded of that phrase by Dr. Martin Luther King when he says, I'm not so much concerned about the vitriolic words of the bad people as much as I'm concerned about the appalling silence of the good people. We need to, as Lavanya and others have said, in spite of our pain, continue to move forward. Things are happening. They're not happening nearly as fast as any of us would like to see it happen. But through our pain, we can do some magical things, and we have done it throughout history, and our ancestors stand for that, and they know what we have done, they know what we have built, in spite of all of our pain, all the things that we have done. And I can sit here and talk to you all night about the accomplishments of black people, even when they were in slavery and when they invented things, and those inventions were taken from them by white people and patented for white people themselves when they were actually done and created by black people. We can talk about it all day long, but the fact of the matter is, the way we get through our pain is to continue to have these discussions, as painful as they may be, as hurtful as sometimes it might be. But at the end of the day, if we don't do something, we're going to all perish, as you say, my brother, because we're not together. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. We're going to be around for a little while. But good night, and thank you for being here. Stay tuned for the next one. We're going to be doing town halls. We're going to be continuing to do town halls and keep you informed.
Let's give our good to see Brenda Councilman. As we close, does anyone need to make an announcement about an event that they're involved in? There you go.
Real quick, in order for us to remain informed, the Empowerment Network has a branch called the Omaha 360. And there is a weekly meeting, Wednesday at 2 o'clock, at Omaha for Boys, where all of our collaborating partners are there and we give good information every Wednesday at 2.
Thank you.
Lavanya Goodwin with the North 24th Street Business Improvement District. This Saturday at 9 a.m., encourage people to come out. We are doing one last annual cleanup. It'll also be litter and weeds. We will have some dumpsters. Y'all, we need to see us come out. I mean, sometimes you might say it's just trash, but it's the basic step in beautifying this area. So please, go to Global Leadership Group Omaha if you want the flyer, because let's blast it so that we can actually visually improve this area before winter hits. Thank you.
Yolanda, come stand with me. Yolanda, come stand with me over here. I just want to make sure that we're clear that the Revive Center on the, is it the first and third? First and, okay. So there's two things going on with the Revive Center to hold up. One is the first Saturday in the month. They have a marketplace where there's tables of vendors and there's hot, delicious food by the chef.
You can access it. I usually put it.
Oh yeah, and then when you schedule your
We're referring you to see the whole batch. If they're too big, it's 2 hours.
so the first Sunday, there's a gospel brunch with a live gospel music and recorded gospel music, and my wife and I can testify that it's good food too. Yeah. All right. So thank y'all for being with us and thank y'all for coming. We'll see you